the thing that makes money. So once you identify that one thing, then identify what is the messaging or the words, I would say, that makes people buy.
No matter where you come from or what challenges you face, remember that you have the power to transform your life. We're bringing you the most inspiring stories and voices from authors who are indeed powerful forces for the culture in their work. These interviews will keep you believing in yourself, inspire you to keep pushing forward, and most importantly, never ever stop dreaming. It's your boy Kolby, and this is the Kolby Kulture Show. What's up, Kolby Kulture fam? Welcome back to another episode of the Kolby Kulture Show, where we celebrate stories, amplify the culture, and bring you real conversations with the creators who are shaping what's next. I'm your host, Derek Jacoby Washington, but around here, you know me as Kolby. Listen, today's guest is a force. She's a marketer, a creator, an author and entrepreneur who understands how to turn attention into income and ideas into actual systems. She is the founder of Marketing by Monrae, the powerhouse behind Rare Necessity, the dean of Millionaire Mob University, host of the Ghetto CEO podcast, and the author of the book, Campaign of My Life, the story of $1 million entrepreneur. Y'all, she is a builder. She's a visionary, and she's helped thousands of entrepreneurs move from chaos to clarity with real strategy that works. Kolby Kulture fam, help me welcome the brilliant, the bold, the always on go, Monrae Tuggle. Monrae, what's good? Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hey, y'all. What's up? I'm excited.
Good. I'm excited to have you here. All right, let's start here because everybody sees the business, the courses, the planner, the campaigns, but I want to go back to the beginning. I want to go back to before the $1 million launches, before the Ghetto CEO movement, before the agency. Who was Monrae? Where were you? What were you dreaming about? And when did you realize, no, I'm built for something bigger?
That's a long time. I feel old. I'm like, Jesus. But I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. So, y'all, Memphis stand up. So I have been in Atlanta for the last, since 2017. So almost 10 years now, about 8 years. But remember when I was younger, when I was in high school, I always had my gift was working. Like, I love working because I love the outcome of the coins coming into my bank account.
Yeah.
And so I remember I started working at the age of 13. I worked at my godmother's beauty salon sweeping. Then I learned how to do shampooing and all the things. And the more things I learned, the more money I made. So I was
Right.
it's nice, right? And so I remember at 16 starting working McDonald's, and I remember like working 18-hour shifts. And my mom was like, "You don't got 10 kids at home. Like, why are you working so
Right.
late?" But I truly enjoyed it. Like, people ask me today, what has been your favorite job? And I always say McDonald's.
Wow.
I always say, like, it was a system, it was a structure. Like, I learned a lot about operating a business
Yeah.
in McDonald's. Like, I used to tell, by the time I was 17, I actually was a manager, and I used to tell all of my employees to go on break so I could run the whole back of the house by myself. So I learned that my work ethic was a gift. And as I started to grow, a lot of people know that at the age of 19, that's when I started my business, Rare Necessity. And I was in college and didn't even really try to start a business, to be honest. I had a young lady I seen that she posted. She was a makeup artist, and she was like, "I need an assistant," and I was like, "I need a job." And
Mhm.
so she didn't necessarily know what an assistant did. And I was like, "Okay, well, let me help you with your Instagram. Let's do some events." So I started to come to her with an idea, and I was like, "Wait a minute, she making some money out of this.
Mhm.
To take this to some other people." And so that's what I started to do. I went to school at Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and I started to go around to different businesses and really like promote myself and tell them, this is my business, this is what I did. And I worked with like a skate shop, I worked with a bakery, and that is how Red Necessity got started from there.
Wow. That's powerful because what I hear in your story is grit. I hear timing and I hear obedience. You didn't wait for somebody to validate you. You built the lane and then you validated yourself.
Yeah.
right? So let me ask you this. Do you remember that first moment, that first client, or that first check where you thought, oh, I could really do this?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I remember, so it's funny. That first client that I just talked about with the makeup artist, I was getting paid maybe like 150, maybe $200 a month. And I was
Mm,
like, okay, this is cool. But I remember after validating the thing that I already knew that God had in me, because while I was actually an accounting major in school. So it wasn't like marketing was something I actually knew about. It was just something that I felt. And I was like, okay, God, this is my gift. Okay. And honestly, it took me a while to realize that that was my gift from God, because I always see my friends do tangible things. So my one of my roommates, she did hair. So I thought, okay, I have to do hair, or I have to know how to make clothes, or I have to know, but everything that I had inside of me was in my mind. And so I thought everybody else thought like me. I thought everybody else moved like me. And so I didn't even value the gift that God gave me. And so I remember going, there was this in Hattiesburg, it's a small town in Mississippi. And I remember there was this lady, and in Hattiesburg, she drove a pink Bentley. And I was like, why would she have a pink? Like, who is this lady? And so I researched her, and she had a hair company. And I was like, I'm about to go ask her for some money. Like, I'm about to go promote my services, because she got a company. She need me. Like, we can really turn this into a thing. And so I remember going to her office and seeing like all the stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is cool, and I was scared. Like, I'm talking about like so nervous, but I was confident. I went in there. I was like, you need me. This is why you need me. Da 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 da. Walked out of there with $1,300 a month. And I'm like, you done did something, okay? So that's when I knew my confidence. I was like, okay, my confidence done got a little clarity in this, and I have a receipt behind what I'm doing. And so that's where I really remember that first paycheck. Like, I remember going to my car and just crying, praising God, and just being so happy, because I didn't think I could do it, but I had the confidence that I could. And so that was that first paycheck that really, hit. Now $1,300 and I'd be excited.
My rate went up. I love that. I love that. So I want to talk about this book, Campaign of My Life,
Yeah.
because it's part your story, part blueprint, and part wake up call. So let me
Mhm.
ask you straight up, what made you decide that your life and your journey was something that deserved a full campaign? What was the moment where you said, "Hey, let me turn my story into a strategy"?
That is a good question, because I remember, so when I learned to do marketing, like I said, I wasn't formally taught, right? Everything that I learned was through my gift from God, and it was validated by human, right? I would think of something, and then I'd be like, oh, that's called forecasting, or oh, that's this. Like, I remember being 4 years old, 5 years old, playing school, thinking about some of this stuff that I think about and do today in marketing, right? So that's why I always be like, God did this. But I say that to say that when I started to hire teams, so when I hired my first team in 2017, and I had to figure out, I'm an only child. So I had to figure out how to deal with other people. Okay. And so when I had a team, I'm like, okay, now I'm the boss to show them how to do the stuff that I naturally do.
Mhm.
Right? Like, I naturally just get up and do this. I could do it in my sleep. And so I had to create this thing called the SMC method, which is building like a campaign, like a repeatable process to make money over and over and over again. Because I say, as entrepreneurs, your job is to create your recipe. And so
Yeah,
for my clients, I had a recipe of how things will work, right? But I had to now teach my team this. And so I
yeah,
came up with this campaign process. And then as I was coming, it's an 8-step process of figuring out your focus product, understanding your strategy, your numbers, and your concept, your messaging, mapping out all of your content, and then going into actually creating the content, creating the materials, and then launching it, monitoring the results, pivoting if it doesn't work, and then analyzing it at the end. Your recipe, I finished my cake. Was it good? This is how I'm going to tweak it, right? So when I looked at that, I was like, this is my life. I could figure out when I actually started to figure out what I was selling. I could see when I was seeing my strategy and my messaging and tweaking my messaging to make sure it worked. I can see the recipe of my life, right? And a lot of times when a lot of times when people need or is telling a story, they want to connect to you before they get educated, right? So the reason why I created the book the way that I did is because I wanted to educate people through my story. And so people now, they don't even know, but through my story, you're hearing about the struggles that I had with my dad and feeling like I wasn't, abandoned and unworthy and all of those things, but how that was a direct reflection of me and business, so you were able to understand marketing through my story. So that's why I created it.
That's so dope. That's so dope. One thing that I love is that you don't treat a launch like a post and pray, right?
No.
You treat a launch like an event, and it has a narrative, it has a mood, it has a timeline, and it also has a feeling. And so for the folks listening who have the talent but not the structure, can you
Yeah.
break down the three core elements every campaign needs to have, no matter the industry?
Yeah, no, for sure. So to your point, a launch isn't about, a lot of times when people hear the word launch or campaign, they feel like they have to be launching something new.
Mhm.
So a launch is a repeatable process to continue to make money, a recipe, right? And so what you need to have is you need to have a solid offer, something that you know makes money, like not something you think, not something you feel, but like you've looked at the data. Because a lot of times when I'm coaching or I'm talking to people, I don't want to hear nothing about what you feel. I want to see what the facts are, right? It's facts over feelings. Okay. So what are the numbers saying? Cause you can feel like, if you're a hairstylist, you can be like, I feel like I do bust down middle parts all the time. But when we look at the facts, you do silk presses more. So we need to sell that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what does the numbers say? And a lot of times we're not tracking the numbers. That's half our problem. But what does the numbers say that we need to do? So one, you need to have an offer. Two, you need to have a visibility plan. I always say, if enough people can't see you, then enough people can't pay you.
Mm.
So you need to
Wait,
make
wait,
sure,
wait, wait, wait. Hold on. Say that one again. If enough people can't see you,
then enough
then
people
enough.
cannot pay you.
Oh, that's so dope. That's so.
And
I
that's
love.
that's facts, right? And you have
Yeah.
to understand the numbers behind it. The reason why I love marketing so much is because it's not about how we feel. It is
Mhm.
a numbers game. I can literally, the reason why my clients, that when we work with corporations and we work with companies, they come in and paying us six figures for a month worth of work, is because I'm backing it up with data, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, forecast how many people that need to see you so you can understand how many people need to pay you. You know how much money you want to make. If I ask anybody, they'd be like, I want to make $50,000. I want, but then how much effort does it take, right? So that's the second thing, having a strategy, having an offer. And then the third thing I would just say is, I'm always heavy on execution, like making sure you have a plan, because we have a lot of talented people in the world. Like, we all have a talent that God has given us, but the gap is we don't work hard enough for the result that we desire. We
Yeah.
not doing enough to get the thing that we swear we are supposed to have. And so you need an execution plan so that you can be able to do it. Like, if you want to make $10,000, I was just talking to my partner about this. His thing was, we were making these signs. He's a diesel mechanic who's making these signs to tell people like about his services and all of that, right? So he was like, "No, we need to have, it needs to be cute. It needs to look like this." He used the word cute, but needs to look nice, branded. And I'm like, I don't care. I would rather pay 80 cents for an ugly sign and get 1,000 of them and spread them across the city than have
Yeah.
a cute 10 of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, it's about people seeing you. So a lot of times when we're doing efforts, we're just not doing enough. You're not posting enough. You're not emailing enough. You're not talking enough. You're not going live enough. You ain't did enough podcasts. You ain't did enough. If you ain't posted 100 times in a month, you can't tell me you did enough.
Yeah. You ain't posted that. Jeez. See, that right there is why you do what you do. You take
Right.
something that feels big and make it so simple. That I believe that that's definitely a gift.
Yeah.
And so let's get into the culture of it all, because we're in a time where attention is louder than talent. Everybody's posting, everybody's launching, everybody is selling something. But you figured out kind of how to get attention that actually converts. So I want to
Mhm.
ask you, what does authenticity look like in 2025? And then how do you remain true to who you are while still being strategic enough to sell?
That's a good question, because I think that a lot of, I always say this. And I know y'all gonna be like, this girl, every time she talking about Jesus. Okay. But that's just the way I feel, right? But I think that a lot of times the reason why we can't be authentic online is because we don't even know who we are. Like, we don't have an idea of who we are. And I remember, and I talk about this all the time, like, I remember growing up, and it's something about as a woman, that age, when you get by 30, you be like, oh, mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm cutting it all out, right? So I think you have to have a clear understanding of who you are, what you're willing to tolerate, what you want to show, what you want to do, and then also being okay with that evolving. So in 2025, I really think that we have to just continue to show up in the way that's authentic for us. So your way may not be, hey, I want to post all the time, or I want to do, I want to be on the front end. I think it's 100% okay if you are an introvert and you don't like to post, you don't like to be the front face, for you not to be a business owner and you support somebody else and be a partner of somebody that likes to be on the front end. I don't
Yeah.
know who told us we have to learn, we have to have 100% of, a business, but you got 100% of zero. Partner with somebody else that can do the thing that you don't like to do, and collaborate with them, partner with them, and let you be on the back end running the operations, doing the things, talking to the vendors, doing the thing you're naturally gifted at. I think the internet is making us feel like we have to be gifted in areas that we're not gifted in. I tell people all the time, I'm not an operator. I do not like operations. I don't like the little tweaks of things and how it works. So I hire for that. Or if
Mhm.
I didn't have the money to hire for it, I will partner with somebody to do that, so that I have no problem with recording videos. I have no problem with doing the things, but you have to figure out what that is for you. But I think sometimes we sit in the culture and we're like, we have to just own everything, but you don't want to do the work.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So can you give me an example, one campaign where authenticity was the strategy, a moment where just telling the truth made the money move?
Yeah, I can give a couple examples, but the first one that comes to my mind. So when I started doing campaigns for myself, so the way that I got clients was doing campaigns for myself, because there was no coaches at the time or marketers at the time that was doing campaigns, right? And so I remember 2020, I came out with a planner, and I revived I did a whole campaign. I became Beyonce. I did Upgrade You, right? And so at that time it was just, I love Beyonce, so I'm finna do it, right?
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah.
wasn't something that was super strategic. Like, literally, I remember being in my office with my team. I remember being in my office with my team, and I was like, okay, we got these crock planners. I want to come up with a campaign. And they was like, okay, croc, and they was watching videos, and they seen this crocodile in the video. I was like, I'm not finna be the crocodile hunter. So what are we doing now? That's not authentic to me. Like, I'm not gonna be the crocodile hunter. So I was like, okay, but upgrade you, upgrade you, upgrade you. And that's authentic to me. I'm like, okay, I love to dress up. Okay, yes, we can get a Rolls Royce truck. Yes, we can do this. Like, that's authentic to my vibe. So if you are someone that's more, I would say, artistic, like, I have a friend that's more artistic, she wouldn't do Beyonce because that's not her vibe. And I think a lot of times we try to, when we don't know what we are, to going back to what I said before, when you don't know who you are, you try to copy somebody else's sauce. And
Yeah.
it's not authentic to you. So it's not going to work because you're not even operating in your own lane of what God has for you. So I think it's really just staying in, and that campaign blew up. It went viral, and I think that it's just staying true to who you are and what you love.
Yeah, I love that. And so since you brought up the $1 million plan, that's what I want to talk about. So it's not a pretty stationary. It is a system. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of
Mhm.
planning, right? And so what's the number one habit or mindset shift that separates the people who make noise from the people who make money?
The biggest mindset shift is, you know what? It's not, the first thing is not your mind, it's your actions. I
Mm,
think you gotta do. Like, I think we be trying so hard to think that you get stuck in the thought that you never do. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And so I remember when I first was coming up, I remember when I first moved to Atlanta and I was doing, the agency and I was just reaching out to everybody. Like I had no money moving to Atlanta. I had no business coming to Atlanta. Like I had never been here before. I had never seen Atlanta, smelled Atlanta. Like I just like they said business owners is there. So I'm finna go. And I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. And when I got here, I didn't have an apartment. Like the apartment that I thought I got accepted into, they didn't accept me. And so I had to literally just find somewhere to stay. And so in that era, I just started to DM people. If you look like you was in Atlanta, I felt Atlanta energy from your page. I was like, hey, you need me. And this was in 2017. So I used to have a quota that I had to send 200 DMs a day before I could go to sleep. And so I would just DM people, and this is how I got clients. And so in that era, this is when I always say that I was the rappers marketer, right? Like I was working with like Young Thug and Future and they baby mamas and all the things. And so I was working with them, but one thing they always said is like, you don't never be trying to be in our business, like you just be trying to work. I'm like, yeah, because I don't care nothing about
Yep.
what you talking. Like I want to be paid and I want the business to work. And I was just so invested in just doing the work. And what I seen, because I just thought everybody had this gift. What I seen when I started hiring, everybody don't work the same, have the same work ethic. And when I started to coach, that was the number one gap was execution. You can come up with ideas all day. You can get your downloads from God all day, but are you going to work the land that he gave you? Are you going to do the thing that you're supposed to do? So I think before a mindset shift, I would say you got to do the work.
I love that. I love that. So do this for me. Give the folks that's listening, give us a 5-minute sprint, something that they can do tonight, right after listening to this episode, that would shift their next campaign immediately.
Okay, so the first thing that I would say to do if you are because I'm aware of where we are in 2025. The economy is crazy. The world is crazy. We don't know when we turn on the news, we don't know what we finna see. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't know what's going on. People are truly struggling right now. And one thing that I have always said, I remember in 2020, I don't know if y'all remember this, but when we first found out about COVID, like people was scared. Like it was like, what is this thing that got us like in the house? Like we had to go in the house. Like
And
I
stay there.
remember and sit down, like for real. And so I remember what I feel now about where we are is the same thing I felt in 2020. And I remember saying to my people, because I was doing a whole campaign, it was called like, it was a tax season campaign. I was like, don't let your boyfriend take your taxes. And then like you need to invest in your business. And then COVID hit and I was like, oh, this not relevant no more. So one, being able to pivot. And so I said, okay, we're about to pivot under pressure. That was the campaign. And so what would I tell people to do is the first thing is you need to sit in what works. A lot of people, a lot of creatives are doing 10 different things, and we need to look at the numbers and see what is working. So identify that one thing, not the one thing plus another thing plus another thing, the one thing that is working. And for the next 90 days, only focus on that one thing. Not the thing you like the most. Not the thing that gives you joy. It could be, I'm talking about the thing that makes money. So once you identify that one thing, then identify what is the messaging or the words, I would say, that makes people buy. Right. And what I would tell people is if you have to record this part of the podcast on your phone and then throw it to chat and have it ask you these questions, because you need to sit there and come up with a marketing strategy that's going to make you more money. You need to focus on that thing. Actually make sure that you are focusing on the right thing so it's making you more money, and then coming up with the messaging so that you know that triggers people to buy. So if you need to focus on your silk press, only focus on the silk press. Like it's silk press season, it's winter time, it's whatever. You're not gonna focus on the braids right now. We talking about the silk press. And so then putting out content every single day on that one thing for the next 90 days, only focusing on that, and really making sure that you're taking sprints. Like I think a lot of times we try to bite a lot more than we can really chew. So we'll say, okay, hey, I'm gonna focus on this for 90 days. I'm doing 75 hard or whatever. And I might just go hard for 7 days and then tell me how you feel. Go hard for 48 hours and then tell me how you feel. Like when I had our mastermind, I would make our students do a 14-day sprint. And every day they had to do revenue generating activities. So every day they had to post. They had to send an email. They had to DM people. So if you got 5 followers today, you need to DM them and say, "Hey, thank you for following me. What made you come over here?" Starting conversations with people. If you go to the store, you need to tell at least one person about your business in conversation. Like every day as a CEO, you need to get out there. And so what I would say is you need to create a plan. And like I said, I think you should do it for 90 days, but bite it off 7 days at a time, a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time. It's kind of like working out, right? Like I'm really good at business, but I am terrible at the gym. So
Mhm.
like I had to have my trainer, like I was like, okay, I need you to come to my house for like 2 weeks. So I don't have no excuses of why I can't come to the gym. And then
Right.
after the 2 weeks, then we build on that. And then after the 2 weeks, those 2 weeks, we do something different. Like you have to be honest with yourself that you are a procrastinator. You don't execute. You don't deserve the thing that you keep praying for because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You
Yeah.
gotta be honest with yourself,
Right.
and I think that's where it starts.
Yo, I love that. Listen, somebody just got delivered. That is gold. One thing I respect about you is that you didn't just build the brand, you built infrastructure, right? And
Yeah.
so at what point did you realize I can't do everything myself? And what was the first system or the first role that truly changed the game for you?
Yeah, so I hired in 2017. That was the first time I got my first employee. I think what made me realize is that I couldn't do everything by myself is because we had more clients than I could, be able to do alone. So I had to hire another account manager. But what I realized is along the way, because I remember my first employee, like I remember we were in like a living room area. Like I had a desk and he had a desk across from me. And I remember having a text call with one of my accountants, and she was like, "You made $120,000 last year." And I was like, "Okay, that's where my money at. Who's stealing from me?" And so he the next day he ended up asking for a raise and he asked for $60,000. And I'm like, "Nah, nigga, how I was gonna pay you half of what I got, right?" And so
That
where,
makes
where
sense.
did you think that this was gonna come from? Sir. So I remember to answer your question, I remember feeling like I need help because something about once you get help, you can't go back and not get help, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you hired a trainer and then you try to go to the gym by yourself again, it don't work the same.
Yeah.
You like I don't even know how to do this no more. I don't feel like I'm doing it right, and that's what I felt. So I had to keep hiring to get help, but I knew that I could only expand with assistance because I think I have a superwoman complex. I think I could do everything. I'm a black woman. We think we can do it all, right? But I had to realize that for me to expand and do the thing that I'm supposed to do, I have to have help. And a lot of times, I think businesses don't get help because they don't trust people. They don't trust people with their baby, and I tell people stop calling their business their baby because they'll start acting like a kid and need you all the time, right?
And that's so good.
Don't call it your baby, all right? But you have to understand that you need help because you have to once you understand what your purpose is and what you know that God put you on this earth to do, then you understand that you have people that you're supposed to touch. Like in 2020, we serviced over 30,000 students in our Millionaire Mob University. I was assigned to those people. But if I didn't have help, I couldn't help the people that I was assigned to. And so now somebody else is suffering because I don't have the capacity to reach those people.
Yeah.
So if you are being obedient, you understand that you need help. You need a team. You need to have that structure so that you can be able to continue to grow.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And so when you think about building your team though, you don't oftentimes I think I watched the podcast. Actually, I did. I saw like TD Jakes interviewed Oprah, and he was asking her like when she she moved to develop her own network. Or no,
Mm.
when she was first starting, this is what he said. When she was first starting, how did she handle like building her team? How did she handle like how did she determine who was the person that she needed to hire? Because she mentioned that she had a hard time firing people. She
Mm.
wasn't that person. And so she needed someone who could stand firm and fire people that needed to be fired. And so when we think about building our teams, like how like what are things that we should consider?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I always say is you have to understand who you are, right?
Mhm.
Because you are a complete reflection of your business. Like I think people don't understand it until they get to the other side. But I'm gonna tell you this, and you're gonna be like, what? So through my journey, I started hiring in 2017, it's now 2025. Through this journey, I know I have hired and fired over 150 people.
Wow.
Hired and fired because I had to first understand me, right? And this is now, mind you, I started my business at 19. I'm 23 years old, 24 years old with a team. You know what I'm saying? So think about your little cousin that, barely like she gets mature, but she don't know nothing to be
Yeah.
able to be telling grown. Like I was hiring people in their 40s, 50s. They didn't respect me, but I didn't even know how to command respect, from somebody that was older than me. So I went through a lot of different phases. But one thing that I did learn is that I work extremely hard. So we talked about the story of me working since I was young. So I thought everybody had that work ethic. So my thing is, I have no problem. I think one of the strengths that I have is that I have no problem with cutting stuff off if it don't work. So if it doesn't work, I will pivot, stop it, and then move to the next thing. A lot of people be like emotionally invested in stuff. I don't get emotionally invested in stuff, right? And that includes people. So if you're not working, and I can feel, and I got so good at it. The first day I could feel if you was gonna work out. Like I'm like, I ma'am,
Discern.
like you need to be fired tomorrow. Like you just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. But I realized there's a certain type of person that works well with me. So I think that as a small business owner, of course, you're listening to HR professionals and you're like, hey, you need to have this training in place. You need to have all of these things, but you're a small business owner, right? Like there's some things that we can take from corporate, but there's also some things that we kind of got to do a little rugged, right? And so I had to realize the type of, until I'm disconnected from my team where I'm only talking to my leadership tab, I'm only talking to them and they're talking to everybody else. I have to understand the type of person that works well with me. And the type of person that works well with me is the person that wants to grow. They
Yeah.
get in the social media manager role and they want to be better. They want to grow. They're yearning to learn, right? Not the person that come here for a check.
Mhm.
Right, not the person, and that's not, and it's okay. I'm telling you, sometimes you got people that do their job really well, but they're not invested in this, right? Knew I couldn't do that, right? Because I knew I was invested in getting people to grow, and I needed people like that. So I think you just have to spend time. It's gonna take time for you just to hire and fire people, and truly understand the type of person that you have or the person that you need. But I think it just takes it's trial and error. Unfortunately, because somebody listening to this and be like, damn, Monrae just ruthless, but I move fast. Like I remember they talk about hiring people overseas. I
Mhm.
fired my whole team 1 year. I mean, I talk about this in the book. After I had a miscarriage, they were really rude and they didn't have empathy. And so I came back and fired my whole team. And I hired a whole new team in 2 weeks from the Philippines. Like I
Yeah.
had everybody interviewed, ready to go, job description. So I say that to say that I think you have to figure out what you need in your business and what you need as a person to be able to collaborate with the right team.
Yeah, so good. So good. So there's so many entrepreneurs that are listening to this right now who are stuck because they're talented, but they're tired. So give
Mhm.
them one system, just one that they need to put in place this month.
One system you need to put, if you're talented and tired, you need to schedule rest. I think that I've been in situations where I have went until I burnt myself out, and then what ends up happening is I resent the gift that I was given. And I'm like, I don't want to work. I don't want to do this anymore. And then I started sabotaging the gift that I was given, the business that I was blessed with, right? And so I think you have to schedule rest. I'm in this season, I'm 31 now, but I have a whole different lifestyle than what I had when I was 26 and made our first $1 million. And so when I realized I'm still getting the same results, we're still making millions of dollars, but it's just a different level of energy that I have. Like I remember not going to sleep and just working, working, working at 26. But now I have a family, I have a son, I have, a partner. I have to cook. I gotta be off work by 4 o'clock when he get home because he gonna want to talk about his day. He gonna want to tell me about what they did at the school and all the things. So you have to adapt your business to your current lifestyle. So I say that to say that I would schedule rest. So now I schedule vacations. I don't talk to people on the weekends. I don't work on the weekends, so I think rest has to be scheduled.
Yeah, so good, so good. So before we close, I want to get into the cultural side of who you are. Ghetto CEO, that title alone is a sermon because it tells people you don't need permission to be powerful. And
Mhm.
so what responsibility do you feel as a black woman, as a leader, as someone with influence to shape the culture in a way that empowers the next wave of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, no, I feel like to your point, being a CEO is super ghetto. That is why I said a ghetto CEO. Okay. And it's funny because I actually came up with that podcast. I forgot what it's called when Pinky Cole did the things where she basically, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So she did the thing and I went on there or whatever. And that's what I said. I was like, I don't know what I need to do. This was a burnout phase, right? And I was like, just being a CEO is ghetto. I'm tired of these folks. I'm tired of firing. I'm tired of hiring, and she was like, ghetto CEO. That's it. And I ended up creating a podcast from it. And so with that, I decided that I wanted to tell the stories that we don't get to hear.
Mhm.
I think in entrepreneurship, we hear, I got taught like, remember in 2020 after I made my first $1 million, I'm 26 years old. I had dropped my books. I was really had high visibility, all the things. And all people wanted to talk about was me making the $1 million. And I was like, but I want to talk about the side that people don't get to hear. Like, let's talk about how the $1 million broke me. Let's
Yeah,
talk about how, I wasn't structured, how it burnt me out, how I felt like this business that I had built made me lose my baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about the entrepreneurship that we don't get to
yeah.
talk about because it could be a blessing and a curse for us sometimes. And you start resenting entrepreneurship. And so that's why I had to start the Ghetto CEO podcast because it is ghetto. Now, we wouldn't give it up for the world, right? I love what I do. I love the impact that I make. I love being able to touch people and talk to people and like help them basically organize their chaos and be able to truly have a plan and do what God called them to do, but it could be very ghetto along the way. And so we all experience the things. Let's talk about when our bank accounts go down and we don't get paid no more. Let's talk about those months where we up and we think we rich and we need to buy the sections and the bottles and we do this and then we like, I
Yeah.
ain't got no money. Like, let's talk about the things that's really affecting us so that we can learn from each other. And so that's why I created the podcast, and I think that it's important for us to have those conversations, especially the ones you're having as well, to be able to influence the culture of entrepreneurship, especially as Black people. We already have, all the things against us. We need to have real conversations. We don't need to be around here not talking about the real things that we are really going through.
Cause that ain't gonna help nobody.
No,
Sugarcoating it.
that.
Yeah, ain't gonna help nobody. All right, so last question, and I want you to talk directly to the 22-year-old version of yourself. What is the one campaign move, not advice, not motivation, but the one move that you wish you had made earlier?
At 22, what I would tell myself to do is be consistent with content and be consistent with visibility. Like, never take your foot off their necks. Never get comfortable and just continue to put out content about your story and continue to go. One thing that I think that I also would tell them is to continue to go live. Like me going live the years when I turned 26, I went live every day for a year. And if I would have started that at 22, I can imagine where I would be now. So going live and just staying in people's face, like, creating that content to be visible and creating an audience, a community.
Yeah, I love that. So, Monrae, this has been rich. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the gems, the honesty, the strategy, and of course, the culture. Before we go, tell the people where they can get your book, where they can tap into the mob, and how they can stay connected with everything that you're building.
And so you can get my book on Amazon. You can type in "Marketing by Monrae." It's called "The Campaign of My Life." It is an amazing read. So I am excited. And once you get it, DM me so I can, talk to you about it. But you can follow me on Instagram at Marketing by Monrae or any platform. All my handles are the same.
Love it. Love it. Family, make sure that you go grab a copy of Campaign of My Life. Go follow Monrae. Go invest in your growth and take at least one action that you heard today. Just one, and watch how it shifts your momentum. This has been the Kolby Kulture Show. I'm Kolby, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow the show wherever you listen to your podcast. Watch, like, and subscribe on YouTube. And please feel free to give us a 5-star rating. See you on the next one.